The dawn that changed everything. They were awakened before sunrise. A whistle pierced the early morning darkness of the internment camp, the kind of sound that usually meant roll call or a new ration distribution, events that often brought more anxiety than relief. The Japanese civilian women, mothers, widows, elderly women, teenagers, stepped out into the cold dawn air. Many had been detained months earlier in Southeast Asia when Allied forces recaptured territory previously occupied by Japan. Life in the camps had been harsh. Food was limited, diseases spread easily, and no one ever knew what the next day would bring. So when the guards ordered them to assemble outside the barracks, tensions spread quickly. Some feared punishment. Some feared relocation. Most feared the worst. But what happened next was something none of them expected. Stay until the end to hear a real excerpt from a relief worker who witnessed what happened in camps like these. Japanese women in Allied internment camps. The reality. Unlike male military prisoners, many Japanese women detained by the Allies were civilians, captured in regions such as Burma, Malaya, Indonesia, the Philippines, and surrounding territories. They had been living in areas under Japanese control, sometimes as settlers, sometimes as workers, sometimes as family members of government personnel, when Allied forces retook the islands. These civilians were placed in temporary internment centres for registration, health screening, food management, and later repatriation back to Japan. Conditions varied widely depending on location. Some camps struggled with overcrowding and shortages. Others were more organised and received regular aid from the Red Cross, local missionaries, or Allied medical units. But one thing was universal. Every detainee lived with constant uncertainty. The tension before sunrise. On this morning, the assembled women stood quietly in formation. Guards watched them, but no explanation was given. Many had already survived years of wartime scarcity. They knew how quickly situations could change. Some clutched small bundles as if expecting transport. Others held their children close. Then the silence broke, but not in the way anyone expected. What the women saw next. Instead of armed escorts approaching the yard, several Allied medical personnel emerged carrying crates, blankets and supplies. This wasn't a disciplinary action. It was a distribution, part of a humanitarian initiative that took place in multiple camps as the war was ending and civilian health needs became urgent. Inside the crates were tinned food, condensed milk, medical kits, basic clothing, and in some camps, Red Cross parcels that had finally arrived. For many of the women, it was the first full meal they had received in days. Relief didn't come all at once. Suspicion lingered. War had conditioned them to doubt good news. But as the supplies were opened and the medics began assisting elderly women and children first, the tension slowly melted. The dawn lineup wasn't a punishment. It was help. The reason why this happened. By early 1945, Allied command realized that thousands of Japanese civilians, especially women and children, were in deteriorating condition after months of fighting across Asia. Humanitarian guidelines required medical screening, disease control, adequate rations, and preparation for repatriation ships. This meant coordinated distributions were sometimes done at dawn, when temperatures were lower and logistics were easier. Many camps also relied heavily on volunteer nurses, missionaries, and local aid groups who documented the relief efforts that reached these women. A rare moment of relief amid chaos. As the sun rose higher, the women were given food portions, checked for illness, and told that repatriation lists were being prepared. Some wept quietly, not out of sentimentality, but out of pure exhaustion. For months they had feared Allied soldiers, but on this morning those soldiers provided the first sign that the war was truly ending. Acts like this didn't erase the hardships Japanese civilians endured, but they did create small moments of humanity in a world torn apart. The real eyewitness words. This description comes from the diary of a relief worker in a Dutch-administered camp in Indonesia, 1945, who wrote about the women she saw each morning. They had so little strength left. When supplies finally arrived, the women did not rush toward them. They simply stood still, as if unable to believe that food had come at last. That same disbelief filled many camps across Southeast Asia. Hope appearing at dawn. When the women were told to line up that morning, none of them expected mercy. And yet mercy is what arrived, the real reason for the lineup. The officer stepped forward. "Food supplies have arrived," the interpreter translated, "and the sick are to be treated first." A woman in the front row gasped. Another burst into tears. One nurse placed blankets over the shoulders of the shivering women. Another opened a crate filled with tins of condensed milk and barley. It wasn't much, but to starved prisoners, it was a miracle. Then came the moment no one expected. The new officer ordered that the women eat before the guards. A complete reversal of previous camp policy. A ripple of disbelief moved down the line. This is a true World War II story, because sometimes humanity is all it takes to make your enemies your allies. Do you agree? Let us know in the comments and subscribe for more true World War II stories.